right, so now let's work on exceptions. This isn't something we're going to do that much in this class, but still a good thing to learn. Okay. So the first one is we're just using our temperature converter. It says change your code from before. So I'm going to paste in our old code so that it retrieves a float from the user and converts it from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and then does the same thing from Fahrenheit to Celsius. But in both cases, if they do something that can't be converted to a float, like the number or the letter W, then print an error message. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our two functions, and so down here, I'm going to leave one of each because we're just going to reuse some of that code. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's get Celsius first, right? Does it say in order? Yeah, okay, and converts it from Celsius. So we'll go Celsius equals a float of an input, enter temperature in Celsius to be converted to Fahrenheit. Okay, and then down here we're going to say converted equals Celsius to Fahrenheit, and we're going to type in that Celsius input we just got. And then down here we're going to say, and I'll do the original, so I'll say the string version of Celsius C in is equivalent to the string version of converted plus, and I'm going to add a little F for Fahrenheit. Okay, so let's try that before I add the like try and catch kind of thing. What did I forget? Plus sign, got it. Okay, let's run that again. Let's say Celsius, so 0 degrees should be 32, and it is. Awesome. Okay, so that works. I'm going to do the same thing down below. I'm just going to copy this, okay, and then I'm going to change it around a little. Actually, let's wait to copy it until after we have it totally working. So the big idea here is trying to convert to a float is risky. Right? If I run this code and type in a non-number, the entire program crashes. So instead what we do is we say, let's safely try to do this. And then if it doesn't work, we accept, and then we go print, that was not a valid decimal number of Celsius degrees or something. Right, but the big idea there is that wasn't a valid decimal number. Okay, we don't even need to say of something. Right, so now if we type in W, we just get a message. It was not a valid number. Great. And now we can't do this converted. So let's put all of this inside. Let's put all of this inside the try. And then otherwise we print a message. So let's say W, that wasn't a valid decimal number. If we type in 100, totally goes to 212 safely. Now I'm going to take this entire thing and we'll do the same thing for converting it the other way. So we'll say Fahrenheit equals, enter a temperature in Fahrenheit to be converted to Celsius. Okay, converted equals, and we're just going to switch this function around, the Fahrenheit to Celsius, and we're going to type in the Fahrenheit number, and then we'll print the Fahrenheit in F is equivalent to the converted with C, and that was not a valid decimal number. Okay, so let's type in W and invalid for both. Let's type in -40, which is equivalent to -40. And let's type in 212, which we know is equivalent to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. There we go. Perfect. So it's just saying let's try to convert it to a float. And if we can't, if there's an error with that, catch the error safely. Don't crash the program. Otherwise, just do the normal thing it's supposed to do. So let's check the code. We should check for value error in our code. Okay. So they're just saying, instead of catching all exceptions, you can selectively give a different message based on the type of error. So we're going to specifically look for a value error for both of these rather than just catching all specific errors. That was it. So now if we type in W, we still get the same thing, but I can't even think of what other type of error you would get from trying to cast to a float. So I don't think there was any difference right now. However, in the future, for sure, there are tons of different types of errors you can get. And so having that is a big difference later on. For now, I just said without this, it catches all exceptions. So now we're specifically saying different messages based on the type of error we get. All right, let's do one more here. Okay, enter a positive number, and then we just trap them until they say otherwise. So let's go to assignment. So we're going to make a function that says get positive num input. Okay, it doesn't take in a parameter. And what we're going to try and do is just keep asking them over and over until they get a positive number. Okay, so to do that, let's trap them in just a while true loop. Okay, and then let's say, I don't know, let's just call it num equals, or let's call it positive num. That's a long name, but we'll say equals int version of input, right? Make sure, and it says we need a specific name. It's in red there, so let's put that specific name. And then it says for a positive number, if the user enters a negative number or 0, the function should tell them and reprompt. Okay, so here, let's say enter a positive number. It doesn't say it needs to be a float or an integer, so I'm not sure which way we should attack this yet. But either way, this is just a simple if statement. So we just say if positive num is less than or equal to 0, we just print a message. Print that number was not positive. Please enter a positive number. Okay, so that one is just a message, and then it loops back and asks again. If the user enters something that isn't a number, the function should also tell them. So that would cause an error here. So let's go down here and we will try to convert the input into an int. Okay, and what I'll do is, just to be safe, I'm going to set the positive, let's just call it num. Okay, because we don't know it's positive, so let's just call it number. I'm going to set the number equal to -1 to start. I don't want to do that. Trying to think about the best way to do this. So we'll try to convert this into an int, and then we'll say except, and they like us doing a value error, although really we could just say except, and we will say print that wasn't a valid integer because I'm trying to convert it to an integer. Let's try this and just see if it works so far. Oh wait, I haven't run the code. So let's call on this function here. So we're just going to call on that function once, okay? It doesn't do anything with it. Enter a positive number, so -1. Yeah, it's because I didn't change the name back to number. Okay, let's try that again. So let's see, -1, -2, -3, okay. Now let's try W. That wasn't a valid integer, great, okay. So, and then it has the old value. So let's try and run it and just put in a W. So that's why now it says that number was invalid there. I think I'm just going to put the if statement inside the try, because if we didn't get a number, we can't then check if the number is less than 0. That only happens if we got a valid numerical input. So really, this should just be inside of the try. That's the problem, is I was like, maybe I define a number out here, and I was like, do I set it to none, like non, the non-existent unassigned, or do I set it to -1? But I don't want to get a message. I only want to check if it's less than or equal to 0, if it's a valid number. So I'm going to try and convert it to a number, and if it's a number, I'm going to check if it's negative or 0. Otherwise, I'm just going to say it's invalid and we'll try again to get a number. Okay, let's try this. So, W, 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 -1, 0, and then 5. So now there was no error message. So now the key is else. Okay, so if it tried to get the number and we didn't crash and get a value error, and it wasn't negative, then we want to escape the function. Okay, we want to end the function. Now what we could do is we could go break, and then down here, after the loop is over, we could return number. However, that's the exact same as just saying return number. Because return, anytime you get to a return value, it immediately ends the function. Nothing else happens after that. And so I'm going to try it really quick. And now everything should be the same. If I do K, if I do word, and then if I go -5 or 0, now if I type 5, the function should end. Okay, so we didn't do anything with it. So if we go back here, it says enter positive function to return this number. So now we'll see, let's call it out here. I shouldn't use number because I use that that local variable up here, but let's call it posnum. Okay, and then down here I will print, you finally got a positive number. It was, and then I'll put the string version of posnum. Now again, I don't know if they wanted us to do float, so we might need to go back and just change this to a float based on their test cases. But let's see what we get. So again, I'm going to type in some letters. I'm going to type in a negative. I'm going to type in 0, and then I'm going to type in 3. You finally got a positive number. It was 3. Let's check the code, and it works. Let's submit it. Boom. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, you guys.